time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed, on a Thursday, and great to have you with us all across America and Canada. Lot to do over the next 60 minutes. There's an NFL game tonight. We'll preview it. Pablo Torre found out again. Tell you what he found out. Contender Pretender makes its return to the show. Week 9 in the NFL. We got a Contender and Pretender for you. We'll get into that a little later on. Austin Reaves does it again, but we start things out in Major League Baseball where Trey Yesavage does it again. Wow. David Aardsma, former big league reliever, Sirius XM MLB radio, hangs out with us every Thursday on the program. And here we are, guys. Game 5 of the World Series in the books, and the Toronto Blue Jays are one win away from an improbable World Series. You know what it kind of reminds me of? And I know people have made this comparison elsewhere, but it is the first thing that comes to mind. It reminds me of the Marlins beating the Yankees and Josh Beckett. And and I was there at the clincher for the Marlins at Yankee Stadium. That was hard. Sitting in the right field bleachers watching grown men cry. You know, here we are with Toronto on the precipice of a World Series. I'll just start off by saying, I think it's going 7. I think Yamamoto shuts them down in Game 6, and we're going to Game 7. And then, you know, it's all hands on deck, and all hell breaks loose, and it's going to be great, and baseball's going to be really happy. David, I want to get your thoughts first on the Blue Jays within one win of a World Series after losing that heart-wrenching Game 3 and coming back the way they have in the last 2 games, and 3 losses in this series for the Dodgers where they've scored a total of 4 runs.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to is the Toronto Blue Jays starting pitching staff and bullpen shutting down the Dodgers when they need to. They've given up runs, but those all come in bunches. All right, you're going to win this game, take your runs. You're going to win this game, fine, take your runs. And then every other game, all those other 3 games, they've absolutely shut them down, even in that 18-inning, heart-wrenching, amazing baseball game, which everyone's going to start changing rules because of Ohtani walking 5 times. Even in that game, the one thing lost is how good the Toronto Blue Jays pitched. How well they shut down that entire lineup, the big 3. They did a great job, minus 1 pitch in the 18th inning. They did an incredible job of pitching. And so when we look at this and we looked at the faults of the Blue Jays coming into all of this was, what was their rotation going to be? And their bullpen's not good. And the rotation has come through well enough, especially a couple guys. And their bullpen has pitched very well against the Dodgers and shut them down in pieces. They're doing the other one thing we talked about on the show, which was get to the rotation. Get to the rotation. Get to the rotation. And outside of Yamamoto, they did get to the rotation, basically.
David, I think that the elephant in the room, right, is kind of what you talk about, but the other side of it from the Blue Jays pitching perspective, it's these Dodger bats have gone absolutely silent. I mean, church mouse style.
Mookie. Where's Mookie Betts?
It is just...
Put on an ATB.
Tell me what the mindset of a player is like when you're on the biggest stage. You've got, I talked about this on the show yesterday. You've got the better part of like 5 or 6 different countries watching every single one of these games, and you still can't live up to expectation. What does that do to a player's mentality?
It's tough. It's tough in that locker room, and you know it when you have a lineup that's basically gone cold. And Ohtani's had his games, but in general, it's not like Ohtani's out here killing it either. He's having a game and then another game. So, but this is a series. This is the season. You can't be streaky like this. And the Dodgers kind of all year, a little streaky here, a little streaky there. And so we're seeing the ramifications of a lineup that wasn't just going out killing every game throughout the whole year like they did last year. We're seeing that add up. We're seeing also the end of the Blue Jays lineup just still continuing what they've been doing all playoffs. And the end of the Dodgers lineup is kind of died. And so everybody in this Dodger lineup has died. And when you look at averages, and I know this is, we're going to go back to old school, but old school is get guys on base a whole lot. And when you look at averages, the Toronto Blue Jays have like 7 of the top 9 in the World Series.
I'll tell you,
that's just not going to add up.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, and you can't put a stat on this, but Game 3 ends, and the Dodgers, everybody acted like the Dodgers won the World Series. Right. And it's hard for me to believe a veteran team that just won one last year would come out of that game flat in the next 2 games rather than foot on the throat. And you would have thought it would be the other way around, where this young Blue Jays team might be demoralized. And it's been the complete reverse of what I think a lot of people thought would happen. And the resiliency of this Blue Jays team that has sort of, shown through here in these last 2 games, it's something to behold, David. It surprises me that a veteran team like the Dodgers would get caught up in it, but could that have happened?
I don't think they got caught up in it. I think sometimes, and I've talked to people about this, that when you have an 18-inning marathon game, everybody's walking off the field exhausted. One team's walking off the field going, oh, shucks. The other team's walking off the field jumping around going crazy. But the team jumping around going crazy living on a high. Sometimes they get to bed later. They have a hard time relaxing. They have a hard time coming back down, while the other team immediately 2 minutes later is exhausted, going to sleep, talking about coming back tomorrow, getting the job done. Also, that starting pitcher wasn't a part of that game. Starting pitcher got to watch. The other team's starting pitcher was the integral part of the game, and on base 9 times. And so there's some of these things when you're coming off of that, you say, hey guys, just get to work tomorrow. It's a game. Relax. It doesn't destroy you. It's just tomorrow. And when they're coming in thinking, hey, we got to work, sometimes that's just a mentality of we have to work versus, dude, we got this. Changes the whole dynamic. And then you win that next game and everyone's going like, what just happened? How do you come back from that? Well, just go back to work. It's a game. We have like 3 more to lose.
Yeah. Go ahead, Sam.
1 minute to answer this, David, but you've been on a lot of teams that had high expectations and teams that had low expectations. Do you think the expectations around the Dodgers have led us to where we are in this series, and the expectations for the Blue Jays in the remaining 2 games are going to put a lot of pressure on them?
I don't think so at all, because I think the Blue Jays look at this and say, hey, we have the best record in the American League. We're the best team. Like we had a better record than the Los Angeles Dodgers. So if they're looking at this saying we were meant for all this, they're not listening. They didn't care about the Dodgers. They wanted Ohtani, but they didn't care about the Dodgers. They were here to win a World Series.
Sometimes one team just plays better than the other. And the Blue Jays, over the course of 5 games so far, have played better than the Dodgers. I mean, sometimes it's that simple. But there is more to talk about. So we're going to hold David over and talk to him about it on this Thursday edition of SportsWrap. Don't go anywhere. All right, we're rocking out for one more segment with David Aardsma, the former big league reliever, closer. Hangs out with us Thursdays on the show. What do you think of when I say Trey Yesavage? What comes to mind for you with what he's done in this series? His future, what sort of sits in front of him, his demeanor. I was watching him post-game last night basically saying, yeah, when I got these pitches working, nobody's stopping me. Like nobody could hit me. The kid's confident. I mean, he's an interesting character, and I suspect we're going to see him for years to come. But what's your impressions of Trey Yesavage?
Cojones. I don't know a better way to put it that I can say. He's got a big, nice pair, and he is. How could you imagine a man start the year at the very lowest level of the minor leagues?
Jupiter, baby.
With 2 wins in the World Series, and setting records. 12 strikeouts, most strikeouts ever done by a rookie. Don Newcomb, pretty good name, Major League Baseball history is the guy he beats. This guy has gone out and just shut down every team he's faced. I'm watching the swings. You just watch. I know the Dodgers aren't taking good swings.
David, not to interrupt, more swings and misses last night than anybody in the era of them tracking swings and misses in a World Series game. Nobody's ever had more.
Right. This is crazy what he's been able to accomplish. Just watch the swings and watch the reaction. It's not just like we get guys that have swings and misses. Guys have swings and misses. Guys are on the ball though sometimes. Just watch how they were reacting to these balls. It's like they're guessing, and they're guessing wrong every time. And that's what you're seeing at that high arm slot. You're seeing a great fastball, a slider coming off of it, and a split that just looks unhittable.
Yeah.
unhittable. And so I look at that. I'm looking at this saying he's doing it now. I want to see this kid dominate for 10, 15 years. Yeah. I hope he can. We've seen flashes in the pan before, maybe not on this stage like this, but I want to see him be able to pitch forever. And you know what? To be able to do that, you have to have that confidence, that belief in yourself. Dude, it doesn't matter if I'm on, it's over. Yeah. And because we all have to feel like that. You all feel like that inside. He just actually said it.
Is he the best young pitcher in the AL East? It's a question I'm grappling with.
I don't know.
I think he might be. I don't know if you can put Crochet in that young category still. Feels like he's kind of aged out of that. But, like, I don't know, man. I think he might be. I think there's a realistic shot. He's doing what we've seen on a stage. It really is crazy. David, I'm curious. We talked so much before this series about the bullpens and how integral they'd be. And obviously we've seen a massive difference between the two bullpens' performances. But Will Klein's performance in that 18-inning game is one that I've been dying to talk about with you. A guy who hadn't thrown 20 pitches all season goes out and throws 4 2/3 innings in the World Series. What did you see out of Will Klein, and what does it take from a young pitcher to be that resilient in such a big spot?
Trust. Takes everything what Yesavage has to go out there and do it. It was impressive to be able to on that stage. Wasn't even on the roster. Got on because of obviously we know a family issue with another reliever. But once you're on, it doesn't matter. You're in. You're in the club. Do I think they used Kershaw? Not enough. Yes, I do. I think they could have definitely gone to Kershaw for another inning, but he did his job, got out of the game. They're not expecting to go 18 or 6 more innings after that. But Klein, it's every pitch. Here's the hard part: is every pitch he threw. We know he's never thrown that before. But to him, it doesn't matter. To him, he's not thinking like that. To him, he's going one more pitch, one more pitch, one more pitch. He's compartmentalizing the whole idea of like, dude, I've never done this. Who cares? I'm doing it now.
Well,
now,
the last couple of batters, David, you could tell he was exhausted.
Yes.
Can you describe to me, you were nobody better to ask than you on this. And I'm sure you've never thrown that many pitches in a relief appearance. And if you have, you're going to tell us about it. But can you describe what's going on with him physically in that moment? What a pitcher who's never thrown more than 30-something pitches is feeling in that moment physically.
So 72 pitches, 49 strikes, right? But at 72 pitches, when you've never thrown that many, you're just not ready for it. So it's like trying to run a marathon and you've never ran more than a half marathon. And so your legs are giving out on you. You feel strong when you're standing on the mound, and then you start moving, and you have to hit some stable positions, some consistent positions, and you're just not. And so what you're trying to do at the very end, and this is pitchers are incredible compensators. So you're just trying to, you're changing your motion every time. Everything feels a little off, and you're just getting it over the plate. And sometimes, though, when that happens, the ball starts moving a little better, starts kind of doing a little funky stuff. You either have problems with command or you have problems with hitters hitting it. And he was starting to lose command, but the hitters still couldn't hit it. And I love seeing, though, that energy after that last punch out. And you see him coming off, but I knew immediately there is not another pitch this guy can throw. You cannot that. And mentally and physically, he was done.
August 28th, 2004.
Oh, Jesus. Here we go.
David Aardsma in a San Francisco Giants uniform throws 51 pitches, 27 strikes in 2 innings. Oh my gosh, in 2 innings of work? Brother, was your arm about to fall off?
Yes. I'm like 27 strikes. Not a good ratio. That's why you end up throwing 51 pitches. What was that?
What was the most amount of pitches you threw in one appearance?
That's probably it. I hope that was it. That's a lot of pitches.
That's why he's not pitching anymore, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why you're a rookie in 2004. You didn't throw in September.
So you don't even remember this? You're usually able to recall stuff. You don't remember this?
I don't remember that one outing, and I don't remember that one outing. Amazingly, I don't remember. I probably blocked it out of my memory.
How many runs did he give up, Sam?
I'm already off that page looking at different outings. Oh my gosh, he threw 60 pitches in 2006.
Against?
Brewers, maybe?
It was April 29th against the Brewers. Dude, you're insane.
That was a tough one. That was a hard one. I remember that one because that one stood out in Wrigley, and I gave up a couple home runs, and that wind was blowing. I want to say the wind was blowing out, but it was probably blowing in. But
wind was blowing, and so were you.
So I was back.
Couple of home runs and
that one hurt. But that was an outing though that changed my career at that point though too. After that,
okay. I've got 30 seconds. Who wins the series now?
You have to say the Blue Jays at this point. I've been a Dodgers bandwagon the whole year.
Yeah,
but you're seeing a better team on the field every single at bat.
Okay. David Aardsma, ladies and gentlemen, former big league reliever and closer, Sirius MLB Radio, Sirius XM MLB Radio. Always appreciate you, my man. We'll talk later.
Oh, thank you.
We're coming back. Thanks for being with us. We continue on the show with some NFL. There's a Thursday night game that we'll talk about later on. But Sam Yarnell, it's time to bring back an oldie but a goodie, something we haven't done yet this season. We've had the SportsWrap Panic Meter up, but we have not done Contender Pretender. And I thought, halfway through the season, I don't think there's a better time to start analyzing contenders and pretenders. NFL Week 9 edition of Contender Pretender. One contender, one pretender. Sam Yarnell. I cede the floor to the gentleman from New Jersey.
All right, Jason Page. Well, for my contender, I have to go back to the well. I have to go to a team that I became enamored with a few weeks before the season even started. A team that, frankly, still isn't all the way healthy. Hasn't been once this year. And they find themselves 6-2 and atop their division. That's right, folks. I'm talking about my preseason Super Bowl pick. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They are absolutely Super Bowl contenders in the year 2025. You've seen what Baker Mayfield can do. I don't need to give you the argument about why their MVP caliber quarterback can win them a Super Bowl. Let's just talk about how every organization he's been at before this colossally messed up. But on top of that, they've got Hall of Fame wide receivers waiting in the wings for their first round stud superstar wide receiver who's putting up 150 yards seemingly every week. The run game is there. I know that they've divided up the carries weirdly between Rashad, Bucky, and even Sean Tucker in this weird era of injury that they find themselves in. But the offensive line has been consistent, and the defense has still played as a unit all season long and made stops exactly when it matters. They're playing championship caliber football right now with the hand that they're being dealt. I love the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as Super Bowl contenders this year in an NFC that we're still seeing pretty wide open. My pretender, Jason, and I know that there are different levels to pretenderhood. I feel like calling them a Super Bowl pretender is a little too easy, so I'll call them a playoff win pretender. Making the playoffs in their division gonna be a little bit easier, but when you're talking about a team that's a pretender to win a playoff game, it is most certainly the Pittsburgh Steelers. You saw it last week, but you've seen it throughout the entirety of this season. This is a team that is built to do what Mike Tomlin's so familiar with doing. Beat up on the bad teams, get the comfortable wins where you can, but when push comes to shove and you go up against one of the powerhouses of the NFL, or a top 10 unit even, you look foolish. You choke the game away. It's just not a team to me that is built to win multiple games when they need to against the NFL's best. And that's what the playoffs is all about, making a run to the Super Bowl. So I think that the Pittsburgh Steelers are playoff win pretenders. They can get to the playoffs because that division isn't going to provide a ton of resistance. But Jason, I don't think they're winning a game once they get there.
All right, Sam. As you said before we started the segment, kind of chalky, but I respect chalky from time to time. There's nothing wrong with that. My contender is a bit probably of a contrarian play, because I don't know if a lot of people would agree with this. But I'm going to go with the Houston Texans as my contender. And the reason I'm going with them is sort of the inverse of what the Colts are. Don't look at who the Colts have beaten this year. They've beaten all the bad teams. And as you said, if you beat the bad teams like Pittsburgh does seemingly most years, if you beat all your bad opponents, you're going to have a really good shot to make the playoffs. And that's what we've seen from Indianapolis so far. Now the schedule's going to toughen up a little bit, and we're going to find out a little bit more about that team. But as it relates to Houston, here's who they've lost to so far. 14-9 to the Rams, 20-19 to your Buccaneers, 17-10 to the Jaguars on the road, and at Seattle 27-19. They've beaten the Titans, they've beaten the Ravens badly, and now they've beaten the 49ers. This isn't a team that's getting blown out of games other than the Ravens game where they blew them out. They haven't been blown out of any games. They've been in a lot of close games. And I trust that defense. And you saw something from C.J. Stroud that you haven't seen a lot this year in this game against the Niners on Sunday, and that was competency. And that's going to be a spark, I think, for him going forward. And when you look at the schedule for them, they got the Broncos this week at home. I think they win that game, by the way. Then they got the Jags, win. Titans in Tennessee, very winnable. Home for the Bills, that'll be a struggle. At the Colts, that'll be a struggle. At the Chiefs, that'll be a struggle. But then they get the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Chargers. I'm saying, can you get to 9 wins? And when I look at their schedule, I could actually find a path to 9 wins. And it's not like I got to contort myself in weird ways to get them to 9 wins. I could actually get them to 9 wins. And if you get to 9 wins, you're going to have a shot to make the playoffs. That's why I'm making them a contender. My pretender, Sam Yarnell, is the Carolina Panthers. Because despite the fact that this team is at least on the come, it feels like a little bit, at 4-4 on the year. They're a minus 38, but they're second in the division. This team is not a playoff team in any way, shape, or form. By the time we get to the end of the year, I think they're going to wind up with like 7 wins. Like, I think it's that kind of fraudulent. They've got the Packers next, then they get the Saints, on the road for the Falcons, on the road for the Niners. They still got to play the Rams, Buccaneers, Seahawks, Buccaneers again. I don't think this is more than a 7-win team by the time we get to the end of the season, and for that reason, I have to make them a pretender to make the playoffs. But Houston is the one to me. You know, what they did against the Niners on Sunday, that really stood out to me. Putting up the amount of points they were able to put up. And I know the Niners are banged up, and they've been dealing with injuries all year. But 26 points for that offense that has really struggled, through the first 7-8 weeks of the season. That was a bit of an eye-opener to me, Sam. I think Houston might be ready to build on something here.
I mean, I've been very high on this Houston defense all season long. And again, Jason, I'll go back to kind of what you said, right? This is a team that just needs a quarterback and an offense to keep them in games, because the defense will win them games, which is kind of the inverse of what we think about of 29 of the NFL franchises out there. But all their offense has to do is keep them in games. Their defense will win them games.
Yeah, I agree with that. So that's Contender Pretender for Week 9 in the NFL. There's plenty more to do on this Thursday edition of the show. And don't forget, later on, we've got a Thursday night NFL game to preview. Baltimore and Miami. What do you say to that, Sam? In one word, what is Baltimore and Miami? Yeah, if you could spell that, I would make that the word too. 2-5 Baltimore and 2-6 Miami. Who had that on their bingo cards before the season started? We're coming back with more Sports Wrap. Don't you go anywhere. All right, we keep it moving on this Thursday edition of the show. Coming up in 10 minutes, Austin Reaves saving the Lakers bacon again. Lakers 3-2 early on in the season, playing without Luka Doncic and LeBron James. Sammy Arnell and I chatting it up on the top stories of the day, which includes the Louisiana governor, Jeff Landry. Who thought this would make it into the show today? Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry yesterday, speaking at a press conference, about protecting the most vulnerable, which apparently includes whoever's choosing the next head coach of the LSU football program. Somehow this made it into a press event that he was at. There was one sports writer there, as you'll hear, who asked a question about the LSU coaching situation and who's picking the next head coach. Scott Woodward is the athletic director. This needs no words from me. It will speak well for itself. Watch.
To foot the bill. So, yeah, I absolutely. Who's that? No. I can tell you right now, Scott Woodward is not selecting the next coach. Hell, I'll let Donald Trump select it before I let him do it. I don't know, but the Board of Supervisors is going to come up with a committee, and they're going to go find us a coach. Hold on. One real quick thing on that. Because here's what y'all reporters need to do. Y'all need to start looking at who represents all these people. Like these agents. You know what's interesting? If I'm not mistaken, Woodward's agent, Kelly's agent, the Texas A&M, they're all the same agent. Like, you realize if I would be, I don't know how many sports writers we got here today? Just you. We should have a bunch. Okay? Like, this is ridiculous. Lawyers would be disbarred for the way these agents act and the way they're able to represent. In fact, there's no doubt, they may even represent some of the players now. Like, it's really time for the NCAA to put on some guardrails in college sports. Because, and it's fine. We don't need the guardrails. If big billionaires want to spend all that kind of money, no problem. But if I got to go find $53 million from Kemp, it's not going to be a pleasant conversation. I'm just telling you.
Was Jeff Landry drunk? Like, what was, other than drunk with power? What on earth? And the best part is about 10 seconds into that, if you go back and listen, 10 seconds into that, he gave a moment of a pause, and the press relations person, and I've worked in this job before, the media relations person for the governor, the communications person, jumps in and is like, okay, thank you. And he's like, no, I'm not done. I've got more to say about this. And then it just went completely bonkers.
The best part to me was the very end, because when he's talking about how we need guardrails on college sports, unless all these billionaires want to come get involved, and then let's just get rid of all the guardrails, because down in Louisiana at LSU, that means that we got way more money. Brother, welcome to the argument that literally every single G5 school has been making since NIL became a thing. I'm sorry, Jeff Landry, but exactly what you're arguing against is the reason that LSU has any semblance of talent right now. It's always fun to me when people who don't know sports think they do and then try to get involved in sports because of some position of power that they've usually undeservingly been put in. This is just a classic example of non-ball knower trying to get involved in ball-knowing circles. And, Guy, you're just going to get yourself laughed out of the group chats if you keep at it. And by group chats, in this case, I mean SEC.
Jeff Landry sounded like the villain in a John Grisham movie based in the South. Governor Landry, you have the power to keep this man from going to death row. Hey, fry him! He ain't going to death row. It's curtains for him. Ain't nothing we can do to save this man. Jeff Landry. Wow. That was interesting. And by the way, I don't know what they're going to do at LSU, and I'm not saying Scott, this isn't me like defending Scott Woodward or any of that stuff and saying, he should be able to select that. I personally, if I could use the F word, I'd say I don't give an F, because I really don't care, because I don't live and die with every moment of college football like some people do. But clearly Jeff Landry does. And apparently protecting the most vulnerable includes a minute and 15-second rant on LSU and who should and hey, you know what? Let Donald Trump pick them. I'm all about it, man. If we're gonna go off the rails, man, on the crazy train, as Ozzy would say, if we're going off the rails on a crazy train, why not? Let Donald Trump pick it. I'm all about it.
This is what I'll say on a more serious college football note about this LSU program is if you look at how things have changed throughout the Brian Kelly regime, it has done damage to this LSU football program that's going to take years and years, but beyond the bad hire, Jason. It's not even the bad hire. It's not even the recruiting that they're going to be set back now. It's not even the difference in perception around LSU. It's everything that Brian Kelly came into a championship school and changed clearly didn't work, so now has to be changed back. And I know that this is a name that's popular in LSU circles, but it all starts with Tommy Moffitt, right? Who finds himself now at Texas A&M, the strength and conditioning head coach, or the strength and conditioning coach under head coach Ed Orgeron, and the regime before that, under all the success that LSU had, leaves, goes to Texas A&M because Brian Kelly fires him. And look at what Texas A&M's doing right now. Look at what Texas A&M just did to LSU. This is going to take a very, very long time to fix.
By the way, did you see who RG3 said wants that job? Tyrann Mathieu. Yeah, let's take a guy with no head coaching experience and throw him into the SEC. Let's do that. We're coming back. First buzzer beater in the NBA next. All right, we keep things moving. Odds and ends 10 minutes from now. A whole bunch to get to in odds and ends, including Thursday night NFL preview. A little bit of betting to throw in there. Although I don't know any smart human being that would put good American money on the... oh my God, I almost sounded like Jeff Landry for a second. I almost slipped into my Jeff Landry accent. I don't know, we're going to put good money on the... Ravens and Dolphins. So we'll get to that coming up. Also, another managerial hiring in baseball that broke since we wrapped up our conversation with David Aardsma. And Pablo Torre does it again. We'll get to that coming up in a couple of minutes as well. All right, Sam Yarnell, first buzzer beater of the year in the NBA last night. Cue Mike Breen.
Outs left for L.A. No fouls to give from Minnesota. Into the hands of Reaves. 5 seconds. 3 seconds. Reaves splits the defense. The floater in the paint. It's good at the buzzer. Austin Reaves does it again. Wow.
Wow is right, Sam Yarnell. Lakers beat the Timberwolves 116-115. First buzzer beater of the season. First walk-off of the season. And Austin Reaves, for the second straight game, saves the Lakers bacon, Sam Yarnell. And it's funny because you just talked about him on the show yesterday.
Jason, that's what I was going to say, man. It's what these Lakers have to do. They keep treading water without LeBron James, right? Just imagine what this team will be, and I don't want to get into one of those ruts because I know we have a propensity to do that across sport, right? But you can't help but imagine 5 games into the season what this team will be with LeBron James back. I'm not going to sit here and say that they're going to be Western Conference contenders in a Western Conference that still has the Oklahoma City Thunder and the Denver Nuggets. But Jason, a lot of people were really high on this Minnesota Timberwolves team. And you go in and take care of a team that has all of its elements missing. I mean, except for Joe Ingles, right? But this is a team that had all of its elements last night in the Timberwolves, and the Lakers, even without LeBron James, were able to handle them. So, yeah, I'm getting higher by the day on Austin Reaves. He is a guy who I think my question yesterday pointed myself in a direction towards believing that Austin Reaves might actually be in the post-LeBron era, the number 2 to Luka Doncic in a formidable team in the Western Conference. The kid is on an incredible run right now.
You know, it's funny, you read my mind. The story to me here, as much as you could talk about the Lakers, and it's nice, and 3-2, and can he be the third guy, in that mix for the Lakers after LeBron and Luka, or Luka and LeBron, whatever order you want to put them in. Story here is the T-Wolves lost at home to a Lakers team without LeBron and without Luka. And that, to me, is a big part of the story here. You know, DeAndre Ayton showed up. Hey, welcome to the season, DeAndre Ayton. 17-10 for him last night. Jake LaRavia. Who? Jake LaRavia had 27. Heck, Bronny James even played 5 minutes in that game. They didn't even have Marcus Smart last night. So they had no LeBron, no Luka, no Marcus Smart. They're going out there with Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, Jake LaRavia, DeAndre Ayton, and Austin Reaves. And you lose that game at home. And frankly, the T-Wolves were down 20 in that game. They actually rallied. So give them some credit if you want to do so. They actually came back in that game to get it to a point where they wind up taking the lead before, Austin Reaves breaks their heart. But to me, as much of the story there is the fact that you lost at home to the Lakers without those guys. I'm just putting it out there. Blazers, by the way, last night, and I only bring them up in the context of the whole story of Chauncey Billups. Blazers are 3-2. They put up 136 on Utah last night, beat the Jazz 136-134, survive a furious rally by the Jazz to get that win. But Portland now, Drew Holiday, 27 last night. Shaedon Sharpe had 18. Denny Avdija had 19. Did I butcher his name? What? Did I say
Denny Advia coming off of Jake LaRavia.
Yeah.
I mean, a hot segment for Jason Page in the name game.
Thank you, Chris Russo.
Denny Advia has been great for them.
Jeremy
Former
Grant.
Wizard. I must give my favorite franchise a shout out. But I'll say this, and Kurt kind of mentioned it yesterday on the show. These Trailblazers, they're 3-1 since the whole Billups thing came out, right? The one loss on the road at the Clippers. Shout out Pablo Torre. I mean, the jokes write themselves with that. But this is a team that has just put their head down and they're like, listen, we're not going to let any of the outside noise affect us. And you have to start to believe, Jason, that like maybe part of the outside noise that they're blocking out just in trying to block out all the Chauncey Billups thing is all the outside noise about how bad this team is. And we talk in the NFL about early in the season teams not knowing they're bad yet. The NBA is a tricky one because of how social media driven the league is, but there's a very non-zero chance that we make it to January and this team still doesn't know they're bad yet and they're middling slightly above 500. I could see that being a case, a team that's 19-15, 34 games through the season.
I wonder if they'll get Lillard back this year. I wonder if he'll play at all.
I don't think so.
I mean, I know he injured the Achilles late in the year, but I wonder if they'll get him back before the end of the year. I wonder if he wants to get back before the end of the year. If they're in the mix, here's the thing. If they're a play-in team, if they have the chance to be a play-in team, if you're on the bubble of a play-in team, do you rush him back?
I don't think so. I think because think about where, and this is kind of what we talked to. Kurt mentioned this yesterday on the show too. It's like I'm just talking about everything he talked about, but this is a team that like they're one of those ripcord teams. They're gonna have to get to the point in the season and pull that ripcord. Do we want a better draft pick or do we want a shot at the play-in?
And then you got to look at the draft, where you might be drafting, and sort of figure all that out. But you never know. Ask Dallas. Sometimes you just get lucky. Could happen too. All right, odds and ends wraps it up around the corner. Whole lot to get to there. Stay with us. Welcome back to the show. Apologies to Denny Advia, because I should have obviously knew that that's how you pronounce his name. You like that? You like that, Sam? We got some odds and ends to get to in a moment, but before we wrap things up, a couple of reminders for you. If you have not done so yet, make sure to check out the SportsWrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon. You name it, we're on all of them. In addition to that, the SportsWrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Now listen, you never know when we just might not be here one day. And in that case, you'd want to check out the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel because the show is always there, Monday through Friday, 45 minutes commercial-free, clips from the show, YouTube Shorts, which features our special digital-only feature Sports Wrap Shorts, which is growing. We had about 10,000 views last night on our post-game Blue Jays Dodgers Game 5. So excited to bring that to you. Clips from our interview with Diana Rossini from yesterday. Go and check out the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. We really want to drive a lot of people there. So go and check that out. And without any further delay on this Thursday edition of Sports Wrap, time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Let's talk about Terry Rozier, because it's the story that's just got legs, and it's going to keep on going. Pablo Torre finds out. Oh, and he found out again. I woke up to a text from Sam this morning, and it said, Pablo Torre finds out again, and I went and checked it out. So, Sam, what did Pablo Torre find out this time?
Jason, it's what you. I mean, he did more great reporting, and everyone go check out his work on YouTube, on Twitter, wherever. There's a ton of great information in there. I can't lay it all out to you in 4 minutes. But it is exactly what you and I have been saying. It is this entire investigation going all the way back to Jonte Porter when that first happened, right? It's a can of worms, and stuff is going to keep coming out of it, and we're going to keep getting little bits and little pieces, and other names are going to start being associated with this, and it's going to take years before we know who actually was part of it and who just happened to know somebody who co-conspired with someone at some point, right? Like, it is a very confusing space, and it is a space where we are going to learn a lot more information in the days, months, weeks, years to come. But, I mean, right now, I'll tell you this. I'll stick with my original point. It's bad business for the NBA.
Yeah, it is. This guy, Hennon, I think was his last name. This guy connected to the mob who was traveling to Terry Rozier games, allegedly. And... yeah, went to a Blazers game around the time where you had, discussions about who was playing and who wasn't playing.
Right, and they've connected it to somebody who they've previously done reporting on in investigations into Malik Beasley. So, everything ties back together. And again, we don't know all the information yet.
Just getting bits and pieces.
But one day we're gonna, and it's gonna be fun to know all that.
Yes, it is. I can see the E-True Hollywood story on it now. All right, Sam. Blake Butera is the new manager of the Washington Nationals. What can you tell me about Blake Butera, Sam?
He is going to be, pending the contract at the time of this reporting. They haven't put ink to paper yet. But he is going to be, Jason, the youngest manager in Major League Baseball since 1972.
He played in the bigs, didn't he?
Years old. He is 33. He is a mere 8 years older than your boy. Yeah, that's a pretty daunting thing to think about in life. But regardless, the youth movement in Washington continues. They've now got a young up-and-coming manager to go with their young up-and-coming team president that they just hired, that goes along with their young up-and-coming assistant GM, all of whom were very highly regarded. I think all of whom came from the AL East, actually, for their young up-and-coming team. And this is the diehard Washington Nationals fan coming out in me, as you can see. But this is a beyond exciting hire for an organization that has had a lot of lackluster personnel moves over the course of the last 4 to 5 years. This is a hire that I think Nationals fans can really get behind. This is a guy who can bring a lot of new ideas to an organization that could really use them. And I think him and Paul Taboni will work in unison very well to develop the young team that they have and make the most of the young superstars that are on that roster already in Mackenzie Gore, James Wood, C.J. Abrams, Dylan Cruz, the list goes.
He played minor league baseball, never made it to the bigs. I think Drew Butera, who maybe he's related to, actually I think played in the major leagues, but I don't know if they're related. I've done enough butchering of names today and all that. I don't want to destroy any more families. Baltimore and Miami, Thursday night football, Sam. Dolphins -7.5 at home against the Flying Lamar Jacksons. The total is 51.5.
Dolphins +7.5.
Did I say that?
Goodness.
Sorry. Dolphins +7.5. I'm sorry. But I butchered
can't
everything
find a way
else in
to
the
pick
show
the
today.
side. Yeah. This game to me, Jason, way too volatile. What I'll guarantee you, points. Let's go over the total. I think we get points aplenty in South Beach tonight.
Well, apparently the odds makers are thinking the same thing, because that is a high number. That's one of the higher numbers you're going to see this year. 51.5 between two teams that have a combined 4 wins And you know what? We'll wind up getting a banger. You watch. We're going to wind up getting a banger for our buddies Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit. Kirk's dog. We got to go. Does it for us. Thanks to David Aardsma. We'll see you tomorrow.